It looks like Chrisean Rock's situation has taken a dramatic turn for the worse. New court documents have just surfaced, confirming what many feared. She's almost certainly heading to prison for a full 8 years. This was the sentence we'd heard rumors about, and now it seems inevitable. Chrisean's history with the law is long, and she's managed to dodge serious consequences in the past, but her wild antics, especially with Blueface, have caught up with her. What makes this even more heartbreaking is the impact on her son, Chrisean Jr. The poor child will now grow up without either of his parents, both of whom are facing jail time. It's a tragic situation, especially since his parents' actions are the ones putting him in this position. Let's break this all down, starting with the mess that began back in February 2022. Chrisean was arrested in Oklahoma for driving a stolen car, a G-Wagon that belonged to Blueface. She also had drugs in the car with her. Chrisean pleaded guilty to serious charges, including possession of a controlled substance without a tax stamp and intent to distribute, both of which could have led to lengthy prison sentences. But the theft didn't stop there. Not only did she take Blueface's car, but she also broke into his house, stole thousands of dollars, and caused extensive damage. She even left behind a disturbing message on the wall written in her own blood that said, "I love Blue." Blueface shared this chilling detail on Instagram, calling it fatal attraction vibes. To make matters worse, Blue's manager, Whack100, shared Chrisean's mugshot and detailed the full extent of the theft, showing just how reckless her actions had been. This wasn't just a petty crime. It was an all-out violation of Blue's trust and property. Despite all this, Chrisean was released from jail, only to appear in court a year later. In a twist of fate, she managed to get a lighter sentence. Instead of a prison term, she was given 4 years of probation. Her lawyer argued that since she had no prior criminal record, jail time would be too harsh, and the judge agreed. She was also required to complete 120 days of community service. But, as we all know, Chrisean didn't follow through. She failed to complete her community service, and a warrant was issued for her arrest. But instead of facing the music, Chrisean took off, running to Oklahoma and later to California, knowing she already had a warrant there too. At this point, her legal troubles were only escalating. Throughout this entire mess, Chrisean's social media presence didn't help her cause. She even bragged online about her plans to clean up her mess and escape her legal woes, as if running from the law was some sort of flex. Fast forward to June of this year, and she showed up to Blueface's court hearing with their son. But as soon as she arrived, the situation took a dark turn. Chrisean Jr. was taken from her and placed in handcuffs, and Chrisean herself was arrested, completely blindsided. In an almost surreal moment, Chrisean was genuinely shocked, asking, "What's going on? Why am I being arrested?" It was a bizarre scene, with Chrisean failing to grasp the gravity of her situation. She had multiple warrants out for her, yet she seemed unaware of the consequences. The arrest was no accident. According to eyewitnesses, 5 LAPD officers were waiting for her as soon as she entered the courthouse. Chrisean was detained and, after a thorough search, she was escorted out, while her baby was taken away by officers. What followed was a whirlwind of legal procedures, starting with her 30-day sentence in LA for a misdemeanor assault charge. People thought she'd be home by Christmas, but as the case progressed, it became clear that this was no light issue. The charges were far more serious than anyone initially thought. Now, Chrisean's facing 8 years in prison, a sentence stemming from the charges of failure to affix a tax stamp on controlled substances and possession with intent to distribute. Each charge carries a potential 4-year sentence, adding up to a significant amount of time behind bars. Her legal battles and the decisions that led her here have left her fighting for her freedom, while her son is left without a stable home. And this is where things get even more complicated. Many people believed Blueface would step up and take care of their son once Chrisean was locked up, but that won't be happening anytime soon. Blueface was recently sentenced to 4 years in prison himself, so any hopes of him caring for Junior were dashed. It's also worth noting that Blueface has never been particularly supportive of his son. From denying paternity before the baby was born to publicly humiliating Junior by sharing private medical details online, Blue has shown little love for the child. And to make matters worse, when Chrisean was arrested, Blue's parents made it clear that they didn't want to take care of the baby either. Footage surfaced showing Blue's parents throwing a tantrum when they were asked to care for Junior, making it evident that no one was stepping up to take responsibility for him. This entire situation surrounding Chrisean Rock is both heartbreaking and avoidable. Chrisean Rock, a figure who once had the potential for a better life, has found herself in a precarious and unfortunate position due to a series of reckless choices. These decisions, which seem to have been made in the heat of the moment or out of a misguided belief that consequences could be sidestepped, have not only led to her own downfall, but have also placed her young son, Chrisean Jr., in a situation that no child should have to endure. The tragic reality is that this is a story of poor decisions and their inevitable, far-reaching consequences. Chrisean Rock's actions are a powerful reminder of the dangers of running from responsibility, particularly the responsibility to make thoughtful, forward-thinking choices. It's easy to get caught up in the belief that laws and rules don't apply to you, or that you can outrun the consequences of your actions. However, this kind of thinking is a recipe for disaster, as Chrisean Rock has learned the hard way. Whether it was reckless behavior, poor judgment, or simply a lack of foresight, her choices have placed her in a situation where she now faces legal consequences, leaving her unable to care for her child in the way that he deserves. It is important to recognize the ripple effect of her actions. Chrisean Jr., who should be growing up with the love and support of both parents, is now without that crucial support system. With both parents locked away, this young child must now navigate life without the stability, nurturing, and guidance that he needs at such a formative age. This is not just a disruption to his childhood, it's a devastating blow to his emotional and psychological well-being. The absence of parental figures can have lasting effects on a child's development, and Chrisean Jr. is now left to cope with the reality of growing up in a broken home, surrounded by uncertainty. This scenario serves as a stark cautionary tale, a reminder to all that our actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences cannot be undone. Running from responsibility, whether it's evading the law, neglecting one's duties as a parent, or ignoring the long-term impacts of our choices, can result in catastrophic outcomes. Chrisean Rock may have believed she could outmaneuver the system, but in the end, it's her son who pays the price. Moreover, this situation exposes a broader societal issue: the lack of support systems for individuals who find themselves caught in destructive cycles of poor decisions. Chrisean Rock's path to this point didn't begin with a single mistake, but was likely a result of multiple, compounded poor choices, and perhaps a lack of resources or guidance that might have helped her make better decisions. While personal responsibility is key, systemic issues often contribute to the challenges individuals face. Without proper support, many are more likely to fall into patterns of behavior that jeopardize not just their own lives, but also the lives of their children. At the heart of this story is the innocent child, Chrisean Jr., whose future now seems uncertain. While it may be easy to judge Chrisean Rock, we must also acknowledge the larger forces at play that have contributed to this sad and avoidable mess. Nonetheless, this situation is ultimately a tragic reminder of the importance of responsibility, accountability, and foresight, lessons that could have prevented this heartbreaking outcome. After the chaos surrounding Chrisean Rock's arrest and her son being taken away, things have taken an unexpected turn. Once Chrisean was detained, her friend Marsh stepped in to care for Chrisean Jr. It's unclear if Marsh has full custody, but she's now in charge of looking after the child, since no one else has stepped up. Chrisean's actions have left a mess, with a lot of opinions circulating. Some have criticized Chrisean's behavior, claiming she was more concerned about supporting Blueface during her arrest than her son. Others have pointed out the reality of the situation, with Blueface's own actions painting him as an absentee father, despite his recent 4-year sentence. Meanwhile, there's another voice in the mix, Jaden, who has been described as someone genuinely trying to do right by her kids. This whole situation has sparked heated debates about the choices made by everyone involved. Should Chrisean have gone to court while knowing the risks of arrest? Was Blueface justified in not supporting his son from the beginning? And what about Chrisean, who may now spend nearly a decade in prison? These are all questions worth considering, as this messy story continues to unfold. But the drama doesn't end there. a new and heartbreaking development has shaken the internet even more. Ronnie Doe, Chrisean's ex-boyfriend who had long claimed he was the real father of Chrisean Jr., was tragically shot and killed in February. This happened right in the midst of a paternity battle that could have potentially confirmed his claims over Blueface's paternity. The incident occurred in Maryland, and authorities have confirmed it was a homicide. Police rushed to the scene and attempted to save Ronnie's life, but despite their efforts, he didn't survive. Ronnie's death has quickly become a topic of discussion, especially with his uncle's emotional tribute on social media. His uncle expressed deep sorrow, stating that it felt like a nightmare to lose Ronnie, and that he was devastated by his untimely passing. The emotional post highlighted the pain of losing a loved one, and there's now a public call for justice. The streets are buzzing with whispers about Ronnie's connection to Chrisean Rock and their ongoing paternity drama. Last year, Ronnie had started claiming that he was actually Chrisean Jr.'s biological father, not Blueface. He even filed a lawsuit to prove it. Ronnie posted on social media about the situation, accusing Chrisean of lying and manipulating the truth. He argued that the DNA test results had not excluded him as the father, meaning there was a real possibility that Jr. could be his child. At the time, many people dismissed Ronnie's claims as nothing more than a ploy for attention. Critics accused him of seeking clout by attaching himself to Chrisean's fame, exploiting the drama for personal gain. After all, Chrisean was a well-known figure, and any association with her could elevate someone's status. However, Ronnie remained adamant that his intentions were far from self-serving. He consistently insisted that his motivations were rooted in a desire for closure, not fame or money. His only goal, according to him, was to take responsibility for his child, if the paternity test revealed that he was indeed the father. For Ronnie, this wasn't about the public spectacle or the potential media attention that could come from being linked to Chrisean Rock's complicated and highly publicized life. It was about accountability, ensuring that if Jr. was his son, he would step up and do what was necessary as a father. This desire for clarity and responsibility spoke to a deeper sense of personal integrity, regardless of what the public believed about his intentions. Moreover, Ronnie raised important questions about the paternity of Chrisean Jr. He claimed that Blueface, Chrisean's other partner, was aware of the possibility that both men might have been involved with Chrisean around the time of conception. This revelation cast doubt on the certainty of Jr.'s paternity, adding a layer of complexity to an already tense and emotional situation. Ronnie's insistence that the truth be uncovered underscored his commitment to ensuring that the child, Chrisean Jr., would have a clear understanding of his biological father, whether it turned out to be Ronnie or Blueface. Interestingly, Blueface has had his own doubts about being Jr.'s father. Although a DNA test in 2023 seemed to confirm his paternity, Blueface later hinted that he might not actually be the biological father after all. He even claimed to have secretly taken another DNA test, which suggested that he wasn't the one. This added even more layers of uncertainty to an already complicated situation. So, where does that leave Chrisean Jr.? The child is now caught in a web of uncertainty, with no clear answers about who his father is, and his parents both facing significant legal issues. While it's clear that there's a lot of dysfunction in the family dynamic, the real victim in all of this remains Jr., who has been thrust into an environment that no child should have to endure. In light of everything, the question remains, what kind of future will Chrisean Jr. have? Will Chrisean and Blueface ever step up and take responsibility for their actions? And will the truth about Jr.'s paternity ever come to light? As we wait for more details to emerge, one thing is clear. This tragic situation is far from over, and there are many more twists yet to come.